maybe. I have 5 views on some of these videos, but I wanted to make a really quick video because I'm obviously talking about church abuse dynamics, and people would say, well, there's not sexual abuse going on now, is there, in our church? And in some, I don't know that, so I'll just say that I don't know. But what I do know is pastoral abuses continue, and maybe lesser or more in some dioceses than others. In our particular parish, these abuses continue in a very what I would call innocuous way. And here's how. I've alluded to it in the past video, but under diocesan pastoral code of conduct, there's a set of what we call guidelines and rules for how donations are handled, how committees are, what committee responsibilities are, how, it's pretty detailed, and it's on the diocese webpage. So the pastor is the administrator, ironically, of the diocese, and you can have good administrators and bad administrators. Ours is atrocious. And here's how. So these policies and procedures are established. I, as a volunteer, never trained in these policies. I think maybe at the school they've probably done the background checks on teachers and volunteers, so we don't have known predators in the school. But this other, like I said, innocuous culture of abuse continues. And how that happens is when you don't train volunteers and staff in the very policy that you are empowered to enact, then it's rife for duplicitous behavior. And what that means is that you expect your volunteers and staff to act under those guidelines, but you yourself, the priest, often, and this priest sycophants, they can arbitrarily choose to follow or not follow part of that policy. And that's what we have, essentially. And so one would say, well, that's not, is that really happening? Well, yeah, that's happening. It's happened to me. So here are the explicit ways. Here are some policies that are not being followed. Right now we've had dedicated donations in the past year to 2 years that were made with a restricted application. So a donor says, use this for XYZ. The church is obligated to use it for XYZ. The church can deny the donation, but we had several. And when a donation of over $5,000 is made to the church, there is a certain set of procedures that have to happen. First of all, the bishop has to receive the donation formally, and then it has to be tracked, and then the donor has to receive any tax documents related to that. We know that these donors did not have any of that happen. And not only that, when it became when that was made aware, when that was brought to light, there was not really even a rectification of that, meaning, okay, that's an oversight, let's just correct that. There was just a denial that it didn't happen. Excuse me. So that's one form of abuse. The other is that the committees are being set up. There's a school advisory committee. It was set up. To this date, I don't think they've ever been trained in these. But in the church or in the school advisory committee set of responsibilities, and definitions, it is explicitly says no staff should be on that, meaning none of the hired staff should be on the advisory council. We have staff on the advisory council. It also says that the advisory council is to be responsible for hiring the principal administrator. They've been explicitly told they are not going to hire or be a part of that hiring, I should say. I think it says they're responsible for finding and hiring an administrator. So once again, the rules are being shifted, and this is a form of abuse. And back to the kind of the whole financial aspect. The bishop orders an audit. The audit takes place. The audit finds many financial accounting irregularities. This is the generic way. Like I said, this is the smoke, the mirror. But then when you explicitly ask, well, let me see the audit, you're denied. It's interesting enough. Plausibly, you donate your $10. The $10 is not accounted for accurately. It either through staff negligence, whatever. The audit then goes and finds that your $10 is not accounted for correctly, but then it doesn't tell you that your $10 was not accounted for, and the bishop kind of hides that from the laity. This is a form of abuse. And so when last Friday the bishop gets up and says, well, we won't have these sexual cases of abuse anymore because the church has changed. He didn't even say the church has changed. I beg to differ, because you already have a culture existing in these other ways that I've just explicitly described that essentially is a contradiction to that. So be aware of what isn't being said. Be aware that pastoral abuses in their many ways are continuing here in Ketchikan and the Archdiocese or the Diocese of Juneau. So